Hey, my name's Ben. I am recording drums today out at Studio D, Blackbird in Nashville. I want to walk through the setup a little bit and show you what I've got going on. Here's the kit. It's a combination of shells from probably 3 or 4 different drum kits. Modern Gretsch maple toms. There's a vintage Camco 22 by 14 kick drum right down there. And this is a snare drum that we've been working with that we very much like out of the collection. It is serial number 1 by a company called Joyful Noise. Big brass drum right here, weighs a ton, sounds great. On the snare drum, 2 modified Unidyne 3s. Those are American-made microphones that I hand-selected the capsules and transformers and put back together again. All the cymbals are tight mic'd, including the ride, which is from underneath in order to get some more rejection from the crash. I have a pair of Coles 4038s up on top, trying to do just a conventional overhead from a central point so it's phase coherent with the snare drum. You'll notice my array of overhead mics are actually off axis with the center of the kit, but they are on axis with the placement of the cymbals. Also just overlapping the edge of the snare drum so that both microphones are the same distance from the snare drum, therefore getting rid of phase problems due to the placement. I've got 2 perspectives for ambient mics. First one is a pair of Neumanns in cardioid with no roll-offs, just wide open. And those are pointing at symmetrical distances from the side reflection points of the walls. If you look up in this room, there's a very detailed amount of diffusion built into the space. Hardwood floors, we get a little bit of a reverb in here, but not much. But that's okay because in the next room over here, we have an echo chamber. Conventional use of this room actually means putting music through the speaker in the corner and then putting a microphone in here in order to get the decay, which as you can hear is pretty long. But I wanted to leave this door open and have it done in real time along with the takes, therefore not having the speaker sound in my chamber. The other problem with this was that because the reverb time is about 7 seconds long, it's a little bit too long for any kind of fast-moving pop song. So I hung this blanket up right here to try to absorb some of the reflections and shorten that down a little bit. I found it to be really cool sounding actually, and a good compromise, and being able to use that space along with the live drums in the same takes. Here's some of the other drums we used on the record. Vintage Superphonic, nothing special about that. Here is a big giant fat Brady drum. We put a clear head on it so we can get it detuned down and get kind of that 70s, Eagle kind of dead tone out of it at a very low pitch. This one over here, it is a Craviado single ply big maple drum. Sounds fantastic. And those are all products that are owned by the studio here. Kick drum, Audio-Technica AT25. I've got it padded down 10 dB just to make sure the fast transients don't overload the transformers on the equipment on the inside there, the control room, and a FET 47 on the outside. Those were recorded through 2 separate tracks. Tuning. We're using a couple different devices in order to maintain the consistency of tuning. One of them is an application on my iPhone called iDrumTech, which is fantastic. It seems to be a better working version of this product here called the TuneBot, which is fantastic, but it's a little slow and not quite as accurate as the iPhone app. We're tuning both the drum to itself as well as finding harmonic relationships between the ring of the snare drum and the songs in particular in order to make them work well together. It makes a big difference in the amount of available space later on when we mix these tunes. Meat and potatoes of the drum kit are all running through vintage 1073s, in, out, and then the 3 mics on the snare drum. 2 of the mics you noticed on the inside room, they're identical. One of them is padded minus 10 dB in order to maintain as much of the original transients as possible. The other one is purposefully distorted and clipped. There's no other way to get that sound after the fact, so I'll usually put a redundant microphone in order to track that separately. Bottom snare drum mic, nothing special there. Bass amp and also our scratch vocal are through this rack. Over here on this side, We're using these guys here, the Chandlers, for most of the guitar preamps, and then just because I can, I've got the Hat and the KM84s and all the close cymbal positions running through Chandler EMI TG2 preamps. And once again, just because I can, due to the amount of available cool stuff here at the studio, I am top and bottom miking each of the toms. They're all running through Class A preamps. These are Neve 10. It's very similar to Neve 1081s. And these are actually 1081s right up here. 4 toms, so top and bottom. By summing those together and putting those onto a single track, it gives me a lot less noise and a lot better balance of the sound of both top and bottom heads of the drums. Cool, so that's what I've got set up. You know, there are samples of the record available all over the place. Go and look up Rob Bondurant and you'll see what we got going on. Thanks.